Welcome back to Sports Cards and a Cup of Joe. This is your host, Joe Davis, and hope everyone is having a great week. And today we're going to have a little bit of a different kind of episode, and I hope it's going to be really fun for all of you. I know it's going to be fun for me because we're going to talk about a lot of specific cards today. We're going to talk about some actual sales results on these cards recently. And I didn't plan that for this episode, but when I looked over some of these results, I was just shocked. And I even tested some of my teammates out on at least one of these sales. And I said, hey, what do you think this card would sell for? And they were all shocked as much as I was, I think, maybe more so. But today's episode is sponsored by the consignment team at Got Baseball Cards, as we're going to be talking about sales from a consignment house. And if you have any of the types of cards we'll be talking about today, you can also consign them with us at Got Baseball Cards. We have very competitive consignment rates, and especially when you're talking cards of this magnitude, we love to work with consigners. We love to feature these types of cards in our auctions and help you get the most money for your cards. So what I'm talking about today is the summer 2025 Goldin Auctions summer auction. And, they don't typically do, at least this particular one, there wasn't much vintage in it. But let's start with some vintage cards. And basically what I want to do today is share some of the auction results, what the cards sold for, give a little bit of commentary if I'm familiar with the cards, or sometimes I'm just going to report for you because I think it's cool to just step back and look at some of this. And I'll be honest, a lot of this stuff in this auction, it's out of my wheelhouse. I'm not spending the kind of dollars that some bidders spent in this auction, because some of the cards are just staggering. And let's start with some that aren't too crazy, some that I think were actually pretty good buys, that are good long-term holds because they're beautiful vintage cards, they're high-grade vintage cards, and they're key cards. So let's start with one I'm really familiar with, which is the 1951 Bowman Willie Mays rookie, as we just sold 4 of these in the last week, or maybe 10 days, but we've just sold 4 of these. Unfortunately, we didn't have any that graded an SGC 8 like this one did, but a 51 Bowman Willie Mays rookie number 305 just sold in the Goldin Auction for $105,225. Now, these results include the buyer's premium, but this one was also certified through Mike Baker Authentication, Silver Diamond certified. And if you're not familiar with that, Mike Baker was the first head grader at PSA way back in the day. And then he left PSA to launch Global Authentication with former PSA president Steve Rocky. This was back around, I believe it was 2001, because I remember actually flying out to Mandalay Bay for their first conference, their first dealer event, first dealer meeting when they were launching the company. And so Mike's been around a long time in the hobby, and now he has his own company where what he does is he will examine cards that are already graded, and he will certify them depending on, is this a high grade 8 or a low grade 8, and so forth. So this one is silver certified also through Mike Baker Authentication, but primarily it's an SGC 8, $105,000. All right, a couple other big vintage sales in this auction. I really like this one. I love this card. It's one that I've often said I've had a few come through my hands, and I always now I look back and regret that I didn't try to keep one of them, though I don't believe I definitely know I've never had one that graded this highly. But A 1952 Topps Jackie Robinson number 312 SGC 8, same grade as the Mays rookie, sold for $74,420. One thing iconic about this card, it is next in the set after the Mantle rookie. And of course, Robinson did not have a lot of cards because he did not have a really long major league career. So this is a very important one. Very important card of Jackie Robinson, 1952 Topps, number 312, high number card. So that's a very popular card. It's a great iconic pose of Jackie. Speaking of Mantle, 1956 Topps Mickey Mantle, number 135, grayback. This was an MVP year for Mantle, which he had multiple. It was also his Triple Crown year, so it's a very important year for Mantle in his career, and it's a beautiful, very popular card. This one, PSA 8, not easy at all to obtain on a 56 Topps card. This one sold for $18,605. So, like I said, there's not a lot of vintage there was not a lot of vintage in this auction. So I'm going to focus primarily on modern, which I don't do as much of. Some of it's stuff, just from the last 10 years. And those are really the ones that brought the most staggering results, in my opinion. Again, unfortunately, I don't get offered a lot of this stuff. I buy a lot of ultra-modern cards, but I don't hardly ever have six-figure cards coming in the door. Unfortunately, if you've got some out there, please let us know. We would love to sell them for you. This one's not really vintage, but sadly some people call this vintage nowadays. 1981 Joe Montana rookie card. This is one a lot of collectors can relate to. If you've been in the hobby for a while, there's a good chance you either own one or you have owned one. I've owned some 9s on this. I don't believe I've ever owned a 10, but a PSA 10 sold for $69,998 on an 81 Topps Joe Montana rookie, of course, 4-time Super Bowl champion. One last vintage lot I want to mention. There was a 52 Topps high grade, complete PSA graded set of 407 cards. So right there, you've got a nice chunk of change in grading. But this set included a Mantle PSA 6, Willie Mays PSA 7, and Eddie Matthews PSA 7, which is the Matthews rookie card's also the last card in the set. This one sold for $640,000 with the buyer's premium. And if you're familiar with the PSA set registry, I believe I've referenced that before, but this is number 17 on the PSA set registry, meaning it's the 17th highest ranked set overall of sets that are complete. So this is the 17th highest graded set on the set registry, $640,500, every single card graded. So again, some really strong results on those vintage cards, though again there were very few vintage lots in this. I'm going to move up into the 80s, first of all, because I think this one was a really important sale, and obviously the show would go for a while if I go through every single lot, but we're going to knock out some that really got my attention. This one here is very important because, of course, Jordan cards in general, Jordan rookies, are incredibly in demand. 1984-85 Star Michael Jordan, number 101, considered his, quote, true Star Company rookie card. PSA 8. And first, let me tell you, unlike the 86 Fleer, where you see a lot of 9s and the occasional 10 sale, 8 is about the highest you ever see offered for sale. I haven't checked the pop report lately, but there are very, very few graded higher than an 8 out there on the market. So an 8 is kind of the standard highest grade you're typically going to ever see on this card. PSA 8, 84 star Jordan, sold for $268,400. Now, what makes me sick about that sale is we were actually consigned one of those about a year and a half ago. And I believe, if I remember correctly, it only graded an authentic because it was undersized. And I think it only sold for around 15 to 20,000. I don't remember if it was that much. I think it was in the teens. But hindsight, probably one I should have bought. Probably one I should have, if that's all it was going to bring, that probably would have been a wise investment for me to just buy from the consigner if that's all market was going to bring. But we have a very happy customer who won that in an auction from us because it is very important card, a very important historical card. So kudos to whoever put up the $250,000 to buy that card. You now have a really nice key Jordan card in your collection. All right, let's talk about a little more modern, some of the really stunning sales here. How about Tom Brady? Tom Brady, 2000 playoff contenders autograph. Rookie card number 2/100, number 48 out of 100. PSA 8. Now I know some of you are thinking, really, Joe? I thought we were going to talk about big dollar cards. This is it's a modern card. It's only a PSA 8. There's still 100 of them out there. How could this really be a big sale? Right? That's what you would think, correct? How about $549,000? $549,000 for a Tom Brady rookie card, released 25 years ago, limited to 100 in only a PSA 8. PSA 8 is still a really good grade on that. There's only 16 of them, and only one has graded higher according to the write-up from Goldin. But that's an incredible sale on a Brady rookie card. So over $500,000. You know, there were very few. Now let me say this: there are very few cards in this that sold at prices where I'd say, "Oh, that's really down from where it used to be." Most of these, if I have seen a sale before, were right at the top of the market. So I'll talk about some precious metal gems. If you're not familiar with precious metal gems, it was a parallel insert card released by Skybox back in the late 90s. And since that time, Upper Deck, under their Fleer brand, revived them and brought them back. But the original ones were released in the late 90s. And let's start with a 1997 Skybox Star Rubies Kobe Bryant, second year card on Kobe, graded BGS 9, serial number 7 out of 50, $109,800. Just think, if you got some 97 Skybox sitting around, got a few packs you want to pop, one of those might be in there, but not serial number 7. Also, 1997 Skybox. This was a different series. This was from the Metal Universe Championship Series. Also a precious metal gem. This one is a rookie card, though. Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan, serial number 21 out of 50. Only a PSA 7. Sold for $43,920. These are very, very tough in high grade. So I'm really shocked to see that Kobe as a 9. It's really tough to get these in high grade. So moving up a year, 98 Skybox Metal Universe. Precious metal gem Michael Jordan. Serial number 41 out of 50. BGS 7.5. Sold for $153,000. $720. So there was a lot of demand on precious metal gems. There was also another one from 1998. Also Kobe Bryant, card number 44, serial number 34 out of 50. PSA 7 sold for $103,700. So a lot of demand on precious metal gems. I think the most shocking one, though, to me was Chris Webber. Now, no disrespect to Chris Webber. Of course, he was a member of the Fab Four. He was, of course, famous for his years at Michigan, and then he, was a top draft pick, and had a really good NBA career. He's also been a commentator, but he's not Kobe. He's not Jordan. He's not Tim Duncan. But so this one shocked me the most. A 97 Skybox precious metal gem of Chris Webber, number 9 out of 100, in only a PSA 6, sold for $73,200. That's just stunning for Chris Webber. Compare that to, also in this auction, there was a 97 Fleer Ultra Masterpiece card, 1 of 1, Allen Iverson, BGS 7.5, 1 of 1, only sold for $123,000, as compared to the Weber, which a lot more were made of, sold for $73,000. Now, something else that was interesting to me, you often talk about timing, and when do you want to sell a card? You want to sell it when that player is red hot, right? You want to sell a card when a player is getting lots of attention and, producing well, either on the court or on the field, or they just won a Super Bowl or whatever. But what was interesting is there were a number of Caitlin Clark cards in this auction. Caitlin, of course, has only played, I believe she played 13 games this season. Indiana Fever went on to win the WNBA Commissioner's Cup without her, and they've now advanced to the semifinals without her. So she has been injured. I hate it because I love watching Caitlin play. I love the passion she brings to the game. You've heard me talk about that on a previous episode. I think she's been fantastic for the hobby. But she's out right now, and yet they still sold a number of Caitlin cards. And let me share a couple of those with you, because some of you, if you're not on the bandwagon of believing that WNBA cards can sell for a nice, pretty penny, listen to these results. All right, I'm going to start with the 24-25 Panini Instant Rookie Royalty autograph platinum blue hollow Caitlin Clark rookie card, PSA 10, $85,400. Similar price point for this one, 24-25 Panini Instant Rookie Royalty Flawless Rookie Patch Auto, BGS 9, $86,891. 24-25 Panini Instant Rookie Royalty National Treasures Rookie Patch Auto Hollow Platinum 1 of 1. This one has a beautiful Nike swoosh on the card. This one's not graded. It's just encased by Panini. $231,800. And last one on her I'm going to share. How about this? 24-25 Panini Instant Rookie Royalty Kaboom, Green Kaboom, BGS 10. It's not a black label, but it's a BGS 10. $341,600. Now let's think about that. This is a card printed earlier this year. There's no autograph. There's no patch. This player has never won an MVP award, has never won a title. $341,600. Do you think Caitlin's popular or not? Wow, $341,000. All right, speaking of insane sales, I'm going to go ahead and get the biggest one out because this one shocked me more than any other. And if you want to see all of these results, just Google Goldin Auctions 2025 Summer Auction, and you can see all of these and see more about them. But this is the one I tested out my team members on. And I tell you, I would have gotten it wrong, and none of them were close either because this shocked all of us. And the card I'm talking about is a 2012 Panini Prism Gold LeBron James, card number 1, back when he was with the Miami Heat. Serial number 7 of 10. BGS Gem Mint 9.5. Also certified NBA Silver Diamond from Mike Baker, as I shared previously. Serial number 7 of 10. I would have probably thought, well, it's LeBron. It's the first year of Prism cards. It is a BGS 9.5, and it's got the additional certification from Mike Baker, authentic. There's only 10 of them made. Being the first Prism, it's a very, very important card. Even the base card of that is an important card, being LeBron's first Prism card. I would have thought that's probably well over $100,000 card. And again, I don't deal in this type of stuff normally, but I was like, I would have thought, yeah, it's over $100,000 card, and I would have been right because it was well over $100,000. How about $793,000? $793,000 for a LeBron James parallel card that was released between 12 and 13 years ago, because it's the 2012-13 Prism. I don't remember the exact month it was released, but I was just shocked by that. Think about what you can do with basically $800,000. That's just makes me want to go open some packs. How about you? But this entire auction, to me, the results I've shared and many others have just reminded me of the incredible strength of the sports card industry right now, and especially the high-end modern market. And let me say, years ago, and it wasn't that many years ago, in late 2019, I was giving a speech to the industry, a speech at the industry conference, and I told them, get ready. I need to find this. This is on the web somewhere, but I told them, I said, get ready because investors are coming into our industry. And I pointed out at the time, my friend Jeff Wilson, who most of you all know, was at that event. And I said, guys like Jeff, who are coming from other industries, coming from the tech sector, they're seeing the opportunity in the sports card industry. Well, many, many more are seeing that opportunity now. And it's been 6 years since I gave that speech. And my word, how many others have come into our industry, because you are seeing just such insane numbers on this ultra high-end, ultra rare stuff. And sometimes it's hard to explain other than when you take the right personality, the right athlete, that is, you combine that with beautiful cards, beautiful technology, limited production, and high grades. Typically it corresponds with something that's graded high. You are seeing these insane results. So it's the perfect combination. Another example was in the same auction, a 2017 Contenders rookie ticket auto, cracked ice, Patrick Mahomes rookie, serial number 8 of 25, PSA 10, with an auto grade of 10. $170,800. So card after card in this auction sold for six figures. And yes, iconic names, iconic brands, typically graded very high. But it just goes to show the strength of the overall market. And that's what's important to me. No, sadly, I don't have six figures laying around to spend on one single card to put up in my collection, as many collectors did in this auction. But I am so impressed with the results. I am so pleased with the results as a retailer in the industry, because it shows the overall strength of the market. And will this elevate base cards? No, because there are plenty of them out there. Will it elevate, for instance, when you see a Caitlin Clark rare parallel, bring crazy numbers like that? Does that help her other limited inserts? Yeah, I think so. If you own some Caitlin Clark numbered parallels, it probably helps those. Base cards, not so much. But, when a Jordan star rookie sells for $250,000, that helps other Jordan rookie cards, because it shows the inherent demand for Jordan rookie cards, whether that be star or Fleer. It just reminds us all of how much demand there are for Jordan cards. There were other Jordan autographs in the auction. There was even a rare Scottie Pippen card that sold for over $100,000. So Pippen came along for the ride again in this auction. So check it out. It's even more fun when you're actually looking at the cards and you're seeing what they sold for. But again, as I shared earlier, if you have some stuff like this, especially if you have some stuff like this and you have never graded it, you could be missing out on some tremendous opportunities. So if you need help with grading this kind of stuff, or whether you have a $100,000 card or a $100 card or a $50 card, whatever it is, if you need help with grading, please give us the opportunity to help you out. I love working with collectors. Our team loves working with collectors and assisting them with their collections. If you have stuff like this that you need sold, please reach out to us. We would love to assist you. And Goldin obviously made some consigners really happy with this one. We love to make our consigners happy as well. And we work very closely with many, many consigners across the globe to help them get the most out of their cards. And obviously, if this auction shows us anything, now is probably a really good time to sell. I'm not saying we're at a peak. I'm saying we are seeing some record prices on a lot of cards right now. That's never a terrible time. That's never a terrible environment to be in when you're a seller, when cards are hitting record results. That's often a wise time to sell. Could we still see higher peaks? Let's hope so. But we're definitely not in a down market by any means right now. So could be a good time to sell. And if you need help, we'd love to help you. So thanks for listening. I know this has been a little different, but I hope it's been educational, because we have got to look at a lot of stuff that we don't normally talk about, some really crazy sales and some really cool cards. So I hope you've learned a little bit. I know I have, just by looking over these sales. I'm eager to buy some vintage parallels right now, that's for sure, and some Caitlin cards. So hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Never forget how much Jesus loves you. And remember that I think each and every one of you are truly awesome too, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next time. Thanks so much, everyone.